today's lesson, we'll focus on 6.3, which is vertex form and transformations. But before we get started, we need to know what in the world is vertex form. So far, we've been dealing with standard form, which is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Go ahead and take these notes. You can pause your screen so that you can go ahead and take these notes. Now that you've taken these notes, have them handy for what you do for number 1. So for number 1, I'm going to write the vertex form. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. When we notice signs have changed, it's going to affect what the variable is. Okay, so a is 1, nothing happened there, right? That stayed the same. Then we notice h. Uh-oh, the signs changed. In order for h to have become a positive 4, h itself has to be a negative 4. In addition, if we look at the k, in order for k to have become a negative 2 here, right, our signs changed, so that means k is a negative 2. We're not going to use anything right now. What I really want to focus on is your AOS and axis of symmetry. The great part is your AOS is h. It's negative 4, which means for my vertex, I have negative 4, comma, negative 2. So it's important that you recognize what h is and what k is so that you can appropriately write your vertex. Let's try that again for number 2. So I have y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Let's line it up. Oh, I noticed something happened here with our signs, but a is still 1 because there's no number in front of here. H is, signs stayed the same, which means h is 3, right? Our signs are the same. Then we have k. Oh, there's nothing there, which means it was just plus 0, so k is equal to 0. So our AOS is equal to 3, and our vertex is 3, comma, 0. Go ahead and try number 3 and see if you can do number 4 before you check your answers. Now that you've done number 3 and 4, number 4 you might have struggled with. You're like, wait, is it in vertex form? Well, it kind of is, it kind of isn't. If it isn't, you can just solve the AOS like we did when we had it in standard form. Right? If there's no parentheses there, or maybe there's no h, so it's 0 for h, which is exactly what we get for the AOS here. And then our k is 3. You can apply this knowledge when graphing. So see if you can do number 5. I'm not going to do it with you because I want to see, you're going to use, just like we did for numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to do that for number 5. You're going to use that to help you figure out what the vertex is, so you don't have to calculate it, and then immediately get started on your chart. I don't give you a chart, so go ahead and create a T-chart. Pause it here while you do number 5. Now that you've done number 5, let's check your answers. So here you go. I identified my vertex. I found my AOS, domain and range, created my table, and went from there. However, this is not the only part of 6.3 that we need to go to. There's the transformations part. So go ahead and flip the page and take these notes. Yes, you're going to want to pause it and take all of these notes. You'll probably want to create flashcards. So go ahead and pause the video. So you're probably like, there's an original function, there's a parent function. I call this the OG. It's like the most basic graph, right? Your A is 1, your vertex is 0, comma 0. Super simple, super basic. These transformations happen, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of transformations that happen. And within them, from these 3, there's 2 different ways it can go, 2 different ways it can go, 2 different ways it goes. You're taking your parent function and you're moving it and shifting it around and stretching it and shrinking it. And then when those transformations are put into place, your equation starts to look more like the vertex form. Let's actually apply this. Again, once you have these notes, let's try number 1. Number 1, I'm going to write my vertex form underneath it, y equals ax. Oops, I was going to write standard form, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Well, the signs in front are both positive. The a is still the same because it's 1. H, we're kind of missing here, which means what do you think h is? Good, it's 0, and then we have k. So k was the only thing we did to this. Since k equals 5, if you look at your notes, k affects the vertical translation. And since it's a positive 5, we know that it did a vertical translation up, or a vertical shift up. You could say by 5. I'm not really worried about that piece. But basically what we did is we took this parent function, just gonna bring that down, right? We took this parent function, I don't think it does it perfectly. So let's see, let's try that again. It took this parent function, right, with a vertex of 0, 0. All it did is it took the entire thing and it moved it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is what it did, and this is what it means when we say that it translated up, or it shifted up. Number 2, if we were to do that again, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. A, our signs didn't change, our a number didn't change, h, oh, that changed, and k, there's nothing there. So we're dealing with our h, and our h in this case is a -2. Good. That means we shifted or horizontally translated. A horizontal translation down. And if you're getting more specific, it's down by 2, or it shifted down by 2. Oops, I am so wrong. It shifted left, my apologies. Horizontal is left and right. Duh, the horizon, horizontal, vertical is up or down. So again, it took the original parabola with a vertex of 0, 0, and it said, hey, we're going to move this 1, 2 to the left to give you a vertex of -2, 0, which is exactly what we can read from this equation. So your goal is to figure out what types of transformations are happening. Go ahead and try number 3, pause the video, and see if you can see what types of transformations happen and if you can graph it. Again, this graph is just a sketch. You can get more accurate by creating a table, but I'm not worried about that. Right now I want you to just understand the concept. What's happening to the parent function? What are we doing? Here's the answer to number 3. If you notice, our vertex became a -1, -6, which means it shifted left by 1, and then it shifted down by 6. And we got that straight from the equation, and my final answer is a horizontal translation left and a vertical translation down. You can say by -1, you can say by -6, that tells me it went left, it tells me it went down. There's a couple of different ways that you can describe it. Go ahead and try number 4, because number 4 is a little bit tricky. Pause the video here. Now that you've worked at number 4, let's look at it. If we notice, our sign in front of A shows a reflection. A didn't change. There is no stretch or shrink here. But our sign changed, which means it flipped. It literally flipped to become an upside down U. Then it moved to the right by 4, and then up by 1. So there are 3 types of transformations that happened here. If you want to see what happens to your parabolas every time it changes by one little transformation, go ahead and try the next page. I'm going to give you the notes for the next page as well, if you want to just take the notes, or you can try it. You're going to want a lot of different colors to visually see it. If you fill out the chart, it shows you that based off the equation, these are the types of transformations that happened. If I were to graph them and compare everything to the hot pink, you'll notice for the red, it reflected. For the blues, it shifted up or down. I did not do a left or right so that, because you guys can see it over here. But if you notice, the orange and the yellow are specific. The orange got wider, right? And we noticed that had a fraction. It was between 0 and 1, which made it a shrink. We noticed the yellow one got really narrow compared to the hot pink. And the A is greater than 1, so it stretched it. We took strings at the top of the problem, we kind of stretched it and pulled on it. So your goal for this lesson is to be able to tell, can I tell what types of transformations are happening? This is probably the hardest lesson that you will work on. Go ahead and pause the video here and try to complete the next couple of pages of practice. Use what you know, use your tools to get there.